Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to PC Gamer Girl. My name's Gray. We are playing The Letter. I think this is like part 13. This game is incredibly long. I should probably stream it or something. But I'm loving it, so we're gonna just keep playing it until I'm done, because that's the way we roll on this channel. Anyway, we just picked up from having breakfast at Zach's place, and I believe Bella is about to leave, and Ash is gonna stay behind. I think. So let's get going. And he just said, you go on ahead. I have a few things I need to ask Zach. Yes.
I'll be downstairs in a minute.
Confusion briefly flashes in her eyes as she catches the keys he tosses over. But he doesn't give her an answer and waits for her to go ahead.
How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley?
You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to?
Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you.
You tell him, girl.
See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food.
You're welcome.
Always has to have the last word, don't you?
You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight.
I want the recipe too, man. Yang Yang Mobile, hook me up. I want the recipe for the potatoes. And the ham. Hook me up. We got this. I'll make it. And I'll post it on Instagram. Just saying. Hook me up. A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we're left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining footsteps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from his face, replaced by what I can only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting shit's about to go down at some point soon.
That wasn't very nice, Ash. What was that with Isabella earlier? You're usually subtler with your questions.
They hired you.
Hired me who?
The crazy people at the mansion.
Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here?
The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them.
Why do they call her Hannah? I always thought it was pronounced Hannah. Maybe it's just a British thing.
Is that what this is all about?
Just be careful around them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay as far away from them as possible, but you're already here. Isabella's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Luxburn.
It weirds me out a little bit that, like, you know, Ash is I'm thinking he's like a detective or maybe a private investigator of some sort. And he seems to know a lot more about these people than he lets on. And I'm like, he showed up at the open house that one time. I'm curious why he doesn't really let on what he knows. You know what I mean?
Okay. I guess I'll just have to take your word for it.
He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead, he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it at the moment he entered the room.
You back on those? I haven't seen you taking them in a year.
Oh, he's talking about Zach's pills.
Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest. The dreams, that is.
Poor Zach.
I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon.
Aww.
Heard about that. Don't drop it, though. You don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory.
You don't have to tell me. She already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully, once I feel better, I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca.
Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her.
Thanks. That's all I'm asking.
This time, when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. A mild draft sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet, the letters on the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion, H. Wright, 11 a.m. for luxury living. After Ashton's warnings, they all hold a different meaning now. Ooh, are we going to see Hana? Oh, I guess not. The next 2 days rush by in a blur altogether, leaving a collective mess of work suddenly piling up and new unexpected acquaintances. Or friends? Depends on how you look at it, really. Either way, I'm stuck developing these photos at 3 in the morning to reach a deadline set by an overeager art director. Don't get me wrong, Julius is good, has a vision, and knows what he wants, but damn, he can be too enthusiastic at times.
Doesn't matter when you couldn't sleep anyway.
There's nothing new in it, of course. After years of working as a freelance photographer, it's simply something I've grown used to. Get to know people, build a client base, do good work, and cash in some late hours if need be. Rinse and repeat. I know that life. It certainly takes a while to get some footing on the field, but it's the kind of thing that pays off in the long run as long as you keep at it. Given enough time, you might end up with big names on your client list. Names like the Wrights, in particular. I never did pay much attention to them, but it's virtually impossible not to hear about them when a local news channel or paper has something to say on their name. A party here, an acquisition there. Sometimes it's a new business venture, other times it's the everyday gossip that typically follows people like them. Not in a million years did I ever imagine I would end up working for such a high-profile couple. And between that and the fuss that comes with, it leaves me no time to ponder over what happened to Isabella or why Ash is so adamant we keep away from the pair.
They do seem like the good folk, though, despite the whole fame thing.
Why are you talking to yourself, Zach? Sure, there was a rumor running around years ago about him being involved in some business scandal. But just like every gossip blown out of proportion by the media, nothing came of it, and eventually it simply died down. Much is definitely left to be said for the husband, but I doubt a woman like Miss Wright would pick him if he doesn't have good points at all. Miss Wright, Hannah herself, though. Oh, she's so pretty. She ain't particularly bad the way the press makes her out to be. I mean, she might be now. If you saw like a couple of episodes ago, she seems like she's a little off her rocker at this point. A bit too forward for a married woman, maybe, but not as bad as what's on the tabloids. Not that I ever read those. Ashton would give me flack just for staring at one. Rubbish, he called them once. I think he's just pissed because they often put the local police in a bad light. Although with a life as public as the Wrights, no wonder it's the woman who often gets the crappy end of the stick. I can't help but feel sorry for her. She's a real nice person when given the chance. Heck, she might have ended up friends with Rebecca and Isabella too if they weren't living worlds apart. Probably. The beep quickly pulls me back before my thoughts travel any further. In one practiced motion, I carefully place the wet print I'm holding on a drying rack and amble over my makeshift darkroom to get the last photos from the water bath. Inside the converted broom closet, the film processor lets out another soft clack before going on its standby mode. At its mouth, a lone photograph sits on the tray, barely visible with the lack of light. It's the last one for tonight, for the set Miss Wright requested. Oh, I bet it's going to show the girl. I don't usually make this a habit, giving away stuff, that is. It's bad for the business, no matter how well-intentioned or generous you are. This exception, however, she was nice enough to ask, after all, and was a good companion up until the awkward turn our little chit-chat has taken. Yeah, if you have not seen, like, an episode or two ago where I was like, you're making it weird, Hannah, you should watch it, because it's a little creepy. Even if she didn't ask, I would have probably given her a few prints just for the hell of it. Miss Wright ain't such a bad subject matter to begin with. And maybe this is just me, but for someone who has everything at the palm of her hands, all the money in the world, a loving husband, and a plenty big mansion to call home, she's lonely. She doesn't just appear like it. It shows in the tone of her voice, how she moves, and most certainly in her smiles. Always hidden behind the glamour for the world to never see. Sometimes for people like her, small things like these helps. A little reminder that the world can be kind too. Water drips from the paper as I blindly pick it up and gently lay it on another tray, holding a decent amount of photo flow. A few seconds under the solution is all it needs before it's ready for drying. No good rushing this last one, even if my body's already screaming for some decent snooze. My hand fumbles for the light switch, moving towards it with familiarity, while I fish for a squeegee among the mess of tools in a drawer with the other. The bulb flickers twice before its glow settles and casts a soft light in the tiny space. When I glance back down, squeegee in hand, ready to finish the process and finally call it a night.
What on earth?
I knew it. I knew it. I know she's gonna be in this picture. Oh, good lord. Her head is gone. Blurred and distorted beyond recognition, rather. The area completely smudged over, leaving no trace of the same sweet smile the good woman carried in all the previous prints.
Damn, that was too careless.
A common mistake to make, of course, if one is negligent enough to pick a newly processed photo in the dark like I apparently did. It has happened before, loads of times actually. But I still can't help but feel a small pang of frustration over one mistake a newbie would likely make. With a sigh, I reach up for the switch again, intending to develop a new one from scratch.
It could pass off for one of those supernatural pictures they show on TV, though.
I wouldn't count on it. A memory clicks, one cursory thought in the sea of many, and a short yet distinct second from the day before. A glimpse is all I got, but it's enough to burn the image in my mind. There was a shadow. Oh, God. What? No. A woman. Ooh, creepy. In her 20s or early 30s, maybe? How can you tell? She's got, like, blood everywhere. But with how far gone her flesh alone has become, it's not possible to tell at first glance. The skin itself has already taken a sickly pale color, rotten in most parts, blood dripping from every open gash and lesion on her body. Bony hands grip Miss Wright's neck like a noose, straining the skin underneath with a vibrant shade of scarlet. Nothing but malice fills the gleam in her eyes.
Zachary?
Not for me, but for Miss Wright.
Zach, is something the matter?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong. I just remembered something, that's all. Let's get back to the pictures. Can you move a bit more to the left, yeah?
That's right. The memory alone is enough to make me retch. I brushed it off then. A trick of the eye, I told myself, or a product of the heat. The weather has been unexpectedly warm recently, so it shouldn't be too surprising for such things to happen. And, well, blaming this on the usual fatigue, an overworked brain, the weather, or an amateur error on my part is far more convenient. It makes a whole lot of sense than what the small voice inside my head whispers. The same tiny voice that only makes itself known when something's afoul, the same one that lent a curious ear to Isabella's worries about the mansion. And with each second I spend staring at this photograph, the murmurs in my head only grow louder against my ears. Someone has to know. You know what? I want to show the photo to Hannah because I think she's off her rocker and it might be fun to see how she reacts. I don't have an explanation for what I saw yesterday. Yet. But when you've been there, seen something enough to raise the hairs at the back of your neck or leave you wanting to flee or hide, finding a more solid proof than a person's smudged off face on a photo is the least of my concerns. Ashton will undoubtedly give me flack for saying that, or even considering Isabella's words and those silly tales about the place. The guy is a skeptic through and through. It'll take more than my account for him to even give this a single thought. However, more than his opinion, it's Ms. Wright I'm concerned about. Surely she must have felt something if those shows on TV are to be believed. A touch of coldness in her neck, or maybe the feeling of being watched. That's what often happens, ain't it? Outside, the sun is yet to rise. I've still got a few hours before dawn. Good enough time for me to mull over how I'll go about warning her. Plenty of space to check if I'll get the same result if I redo the process again. The film processor hums back to life at my touch. The light switch gives out a soft click and darkness embraces the small closet again.
Somehow those urban legends don't sound so silly now.
Ooh boy. In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. You're right, it is. Let's take a look at the journal, because we've got all kinds of new stuff in here. Okay. 18th, undiscovered. Alright. anniversary. Oh, that's okay. That was the night of the film festival. The 22nd. This is Isabella talking to her family. Oh, Father Norman and Isabella Santos went to the Ermengarde mansion for the blessing. Isabella met the interior designer and her cat. Oh, and that's when she found out Rose was killed, was October 23rd, which was a Sunday. Monday, Isabella drowned herself in work, and that night, I believe, is when she saw the woman in her office. So Tuesday is when she showed up at Zachary's house. Okay. Alrighty. So today is when, like, no, not today. Wednesday is when Zach met Hannah. And then that's when Hannah found Luke drinking absinthe. Okay, so Thursday, which is today, is when Zachary developed the photos. So that means tomorrow night is Hannah's homecoming party. And then, oh, Hannah was being extra clingy to her husband and grew easily irritated whenever someone would go near him, including their butler. Okay, so she doesn't find the locket until 2 days from now. So maybe she's not crazy yet. Huh. Alright, so she's got 2 days before she finds the locket. Wow, we've got 4 characters to go through still. Holy Lord. Okay. No, let's check the relationship status. Isabella and his relationship's great. I'm pulling for them, you know what I mean? I think they're awesome. Hannah's not great. Oh, that's probably because he turned her down. In hindsight, this is a dumb idea. You're probably right. That is to say, rushing to a client I barely know's home first thing in the morning with news of a ghost lady potentially haunting their newly bought property. Oh, and there's a bunch of bizarre-looking pictures of Miss Hannah I brought as proof, too. So yeah, dumbest idea in the history of my dumb ideas, all things considered. Traveling to the outskirts of Anselm Village at the crack of dawn with only my bike as company, equally so. Personally, I don't think any of them would take whatever I'm going to say well, no matter how nice or accommodating they are. Ashton himself would tell me the same thing. Odds are he'll laugh at it in my face for good measure. If he doesn't freak out at me first for not listening to his warnings. Still, that's a whole separate can of worms I'll open at a different time, seeing as I'm already staring at the Wright's front porch, waiting for someone to answer the door. More than anything, Miss Wright needs to know there's possibly nothing safe in this place. Warnings from friends be damned.
If only someone would answer the door sooner. Come on.
Yeah, Johans, where you at, boy? I try to ignore the looming presence their large ornate doors give off, as I press the doorbell for the 4th time. Its shrill ringing merely echoes, carried off by another warm passing breeze. The first time I came to this place, I found myself basking in the silence it offers. Now the atmosphere is just heavy, packed with trepidation and tension. Isabella's right. It does radiate the creepy kind of vibe. And with the image from the day before constantly flashing in my mind, the unease becomes harder to ignore as each second drifts by. Geez, somebody answer the door, please. Not wanting to spend more time here than necessary, I ring the bell again. Another long second ticks by without anyone answering the door. If this fails, I can always go to Ash. Not really the most sensible course of action either, but waiting here ain't doing me any good. For all I know, the Wrights could be out of town. As luck would have it, just as I'm about to turn on my heel, a loud thump rises from the other side. It's followed by heavy footfalls and a string of very colorful expletives about one's parentage. Oh boy, I really hope it's not Luke.
Didn't we have that bloody annoying doorbell
It is!
yesterday? That Irish guy just cost me a fortune and she can't even fix this nuisance.
Oh, it's Luke. This isn't gonna go well.
And where the hell is...
Oh, this is gonna go very badly.
Your hands, if another po-faced prat is pressing that blighted bell, I swear I'll cut there.
Oh boy, this is gonna go very badly. Oh boy. Oh boy. The door swings open and a very irate Mr. Wright greets me, his partly rumpled appearance a clear testament to how early the hour is.
And who might you be?
You know who he is.
I don't recall asking the movers to show up this early.
You've met him already. I was prepared to face Ms. Wright, their butler more so. But Mr. Wright, I don't quite know what to make of him yet. I feel like you do, Zach. He surely knows how to make an impression, I'll give him that. Hold on, when did they meet? When was the blessing? Because that's when Luke first met Zach. When was the blessing? Okay, so the blessing was October 23rd. Today is October 27th. They've met already. Zach was there. Father Norman, Zachary Steele, and Isabel Santos went to the Ermengarde mansion for the blessing. There they encountered the mansion's new owners, the Wrights, on October 23rd. Today is October 27th. Let's make sure that's true. I mean, I can't be wrong because the freaking pictures were taken. Yeah, okay, so the pictures were taken October 26th. They were developed October 27th. And that's today. And the blessing was October 23rd, so they've met already. I don't know why he's acting like they never have. And if you've never seen that video, you should definitely go back and watch that because Luke was not happy about Zach being there. I only caught sight of him yesterday as he's directing the movers. Although from how exasperated he sounded then, it seemed like more yelling was done than actual giving him directions. Needless to say, I'd like to believe those instances ain't all there is to the guy. Ms. Wright at the end of the day did marry him. Standing before him like now, though, is a different story altogether. Despite the difference in our respective heights, he manages to make it appear like he is the one looking down at me, not the other way around. An apology instinctively forms in my mouth before anything else when he arches an eyebrow at my lack of response.
Well, that's not exactly why I'm here, Mr. Wright. Yeah?
Right, of course, the one and only. And what can I do for you this fine morning? Have I seen you somewhere before? Bloody you peasants all look the same to me.
Peasants? Screw you, dude.
Yeah, I'm actually...
It doesn't matter. I don't care. I've got someplace important to be at today.
The abortion clinic? I mean... Oh no, that hasn't happened yet. I'm spoiling everything.
Just spit out what you want or be gone. I haven't got all day.
His eyes are sharp and expecting in spite of his indifferent tone. The very impression of someone whose sharp wits has served him well throughout life, the kind you have to carefully choose your words around. Disconcerting how a simple conversation can easily seem like a ruthless form of social maneuvering. I can see why Ms. Wright would want to steer clear of it, if only for a short while. And sometimes the only way out of the game is to be honest. I'm a friend of Hannah, which is not really true. I'm a photographer for luxury living.
I'm with luxury living, sir.
He eyes the business card I hand him with a completely passive expression. He turns it between his fingers without really reading the letters printed before handing it back to in the same blasé manner one usually reserves for people below their station. Or a nuisance. With him, it seems more of the latter than the former.
Mr. Steele.
Just Zach would do, sir.
I can see why. You should hear what they say about my name. Although I'm of the opinion those don't sound as unpleasant as yours to the ear.
Oh, what? He's so rude, God.
Amusing what people can come up with in their leisure time, no? Well then, to what reason do we owe this second visit, Zach?
Right, like I said earlier, I'm the photographer from Luxury Living. I'm here about the photo shoot yesterday and...
His eyes narrowed, that mouth tightening into a small frown, passive stance dissolving into a rigid one. It ain't a complete lie what I came here for, but it ain't the whole truth either.
Didn't you already wrap that one up? I believe my wife was the one with you then. Even mentioned a little tete-a-tete with the photographer.
Yeah, and you weren't super happy about that, were you?
That was you, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Actually, sir, there was something I forgot to discuss with your...
This is gonna go so badly.
And you had to show up at such an hour for something you forgot. Why wasn't there any notice about this little visit?
It was an error on my part, sir. I do apologize for not letting you know in advance.
Terribly unprofessional for someone going under the name of an esteemed publication like Luxury Living, if you ask me.
Sorry, bro.
Of course, even if there was a word of some sort, that butler does not check my emails as often as I would have liked. But straight up walking in here this early isn't the most sensible thing to do either.
The matter was a bit urgent, and my art director wanted it done as soon as possible before I hand him the finished prints.
Not my problem now, is it? A common courtesy would be to wait for replies before barging in. You do well to remember that. I once fired someone before they could even submit an application. Sent an email in the morning and suddenly sauntered in the office looking knackered mere hours after.
What?
Bloody Watkins. That aside, unfortunately you're going to have to come back some other day. You see, darling wife left not a moment to go.
You're lying.
I have not an inkling where she went, or when she'll be back, so you're better off.
Love, is it the movers?
Yes, I knew she was there. Why you gotta lie, Luke? Why you lying?
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
He stops speaking altogether, and the complacent expression he has collapses on itself. Slowly he turns just as his wife walks up to him, with a step too lively for comfort, a smile too sweet to be honest. She's very likely heard everything her husband and I have talked about.
Going off somewhere.
I've got the few things I want them to transfer already. Marianne made this splendid arrangement for the music room and... Love, are you listening?
I thought you already left, Buttercup.
She must have frowned, a pout more like it. The mischievous gleam in her eyes when she glances at me says all there is I need to know. I would have laughed at her antics if it wouldn't offend the other man. But as it is, it's better to let his wife have fun without any reaction from me. I'm treading on dangerous grounds with him already.
Well, I most certainly have not left yet. I wouldn't be standing here if I did, would I?
Of course you wouldn't be, darling. But don't you need to be somewhere else today? Something with Marianne? Shopping, girl, things?
Oh, I'll be leaving in a few. Unless you want to join us.
Yeah, he seems the type that would be doing quote-unquote girl things.
Oh, no, thanks, darling. I'm afraid my liver is killing me today.
Well, maybe you shouldn't have drank the absinthe yesterday, you prick.
I thought as much. You needn't have to worry. I'll be gone in a few. It's just that I heard we have a visitor. What kind of person would I be if I didn't greet him before leaving?
A very gracious one, I'm sure.
Zachary, right? Zach, it's a pleasure to see you again.
Likewise, ma'am. I was actually looking for you.
Is that so? What for?
A huge display of unprofessionalism is what it's for.
Shush, darling. Let the man speak. I'm sure it isn't anything like that if he has to come all the way here, yes?
It's about yesterday. The photos you asked, I mean. The copies are ready, but...
My hand stills as I'm about to fish the prints out of my pocket. A short second passes that which strikes me how I didn't think this through at all. How I'll go about telling her regarding the strange photos or revealing this to her in the presence of another person. Her husband gazing over us like a hawk doesn't provide any sort of comfort either. And just like that, all the words I have been practicing to say on the way here inevitably fall stiffly out of my mouth. Ms. Wright must have noticed my hesitance because shortly she gives her husband's arm a gentle squeeze, a tender smile gracing her face. Unlike the first, this one is meant to appease.
Love, I think Hansi might need some of your input for the final guest list. Could you check on him, please?
Bollocks! Why in all Luxborn do I have to be there? Doing tedious jobs are what he's being paid for.
Because if we end up with people whose faces you do not want to show up in our housewarming party, we won't be hearing the end of it. Unless a heavy dose of liquor's involved. You know what the doctor said about that.
No, I'm telling you, you guys have to watch the last few videos because they are, ooh boy.
Please do poor Hansi and your liver a favor,
Yeah, Luke, lay off the booze.
He can handle that on his own, Buttercup. And my liver is doing just fine.
I'm sure it is.
You just said it hurt.
But I don't know, love. I think I caught a glimpse of the name Mitch Lakes, was it? I think it was Mitch Lakes on it when I checked with Hansi earlier. You should see for yourself. It was quite a list.
Who's Mitch Lakes?
Who put that blighted twat in there?
And that's why I'm asking you to look over it before I do so tonight.
Very well.
But even with that promise, he doesn't appear ready to leave. Short of passing through their doors, he stops and glances back at me, all without bothering to hide the distrust in his eyes.
Luke, dear, I'll be fine. Go back to your butler. I'm not some pregnant wife you have to worry about.
Oh, she's not gonna let that go.
Fine. I have to go to that little ankle biter's career day later anyway. I don't see why I have to go there. Kylie's your goddaughter.
And yet, she has you around her little fingers, darling. That's basically the same thing.
Aww. If he ever has an answer to that, we don't get to hear it above the heavy thud the door makes, and Miss writes her own weary exhale after she's sure her husband is out of earshot. She's nothing but apologetic when she fixes her gaze back to me, and I can't help but return the same to her.
I am so sorry you had to deal with that. My husband can be a bit trying when he really applied himself.
It's fine, Miss Wright. No harm done. It was my fault for showing up here unannounced. And this might be strange coming from me, but he does have the right to be wary. The press can be quite vicious when it wants to be.
Caught unexpectedly, they'll pick you apart. It's not surprising why he acted the way he did around me.
Sweetie, if Luke treats every journalist who shows up here like that, I'm afraid we'll end up with a harassment lawsuit hanging over our heads sometime in the future.
Which, may not be too far-fetched.
Vicious or not, some sort of finesse has to be exercised when dealing with them. I'm sorry, I hope that wasn't too offensive.
Not at all, Miss Wright. Besides, I don't think an interior design magazine would be interested in who harassed who this week. Unless it has something to do with fighting over tastefully arranged furniture. But even then, I don't think our readers will be too interested.
Oh, dearie. You've got a lot to learn. You really have no idea how a single tattle can ignite a spark in a crowd. Of course, at the end of the day, it's still the thought that counts. It's still a lovely anniversary gift from my husband. No matter. Let's just go.
She doesn't wait for an answer and immediately wanders over a car parked some distance from us. Unsure, I find myself trailing after her. Are we going with this woman? A chauffeur automatically opens the passenger side door as she nears, and she gestures for me to follow when she climbs into the back seat.
To where are we going exactly?
I need to get out of this stuffy house for a while. Moving in, planning the party. It's starting to get suffocating in there. Luke and Hansi can have their fun while I'm gone. I don't care. I'm getting out because I can. Another minute in there and I'll drown.
My bike.
There are, of course, a lot of things questionable about her invitation. Why she's asking a person she's only known for less than 2 days in the first place is one. How appropriate this is being another. But the rest of it crashes the moment she shoots me an imploring look.
Please? I can have someone send it back to your address later. And it's just a trip to the city for some furniture, nothing more, I assure you. Marianne will be with us, and maybe you can tell me why you're here on the way.
Guess it wouldn't hurt. Might have to leave early, though.
Excellent, then. Hop in. That's what they often say, yes?
This can't be a good idea, but I really don't have any other choice, do I? Alright guys, we're gonna leave it here for today. I am really loving this, but if you're a little confused right now, you really should go watch like the last 3 or 4 videos. They're not that long, but they'll catch you up on this particular situation. Alright, well, that is the letter continued. This has been, I think, part 13, maybe part 14, I can't remember. If you like this video, please hit the like button down below and subscribe to my channel. That would be totally awesome. And you can leave me a comment down below. Let me know how you're liking this. And if you want, follow me on Twitter at PCGamerGirl. And I will see you guys later. Bye!